Welcome to Exercise 6, Local Styles. We're going to be changing the appearance of these pages by using local styles inside the actual tag itself. I'm going to go to Color Design Schemer 3 in order to pick some colors. Notice how easy this is and fun to use. Very number of different color schemes that you get to play with. I have a grand time with it. You can turn on text so you can see how it lays up against the colors. There's your main color panels. You can also see what someone with color, or that is partially colorblind, you can see how they will see the page. Light and dark examples of what a page might look like with these colors. I'm going to go for a monotone. And maybe a little bit on the cooler side. And I want to desaturate it so I'll get mostly kind of grays. Great. Now, we can export our colors to a page and it gives us the color swatches to use. Let's add some color to the body tag. The body tag contains everything that's in your view screen, so it's going to affect everything. Remember, your colors have to start, if they're hex colors, they have to start with a pound sign. And there it is. Good. Everything inherits that background color. Now let's make the paragraph stand out a little bit. We'll give them a white background. It kind of stands out almost too much. Let's see how a few more paragraphs look. Save it and reload. I don't like that so much. Let's add a structural or non-structural element to the page to hold some styles for us. We're going to be adding the div tag. I often will start a div tag right after the body tag and close it just before the ending closing body tag. This way I've got an inner container to hold my content. I can add some styles to this div. In this case, I want a different background color so that the text will stand out a little bit more. I'll also play with the width of the container and other features to give it a more pleasant appearance. Okay. Let's give it a background color from one of these color swatches. And there we go. Reload it. Now, see, the text is much easier to see. When you give a dimension, you need to put a unit of measure after it in most cases. In this case, I'm using pixels. And you can see it's give me much better line lengths. To make things center, we use this kind of kludgy procedure. We add left and right auto margins. I wish there was a better way, but this is the way we center things on the page without having all the text centered. I'll make it a little bit bigger. And let's give it some padding so the text doesn't look like it's jammed up against the edges of the container. 2 M's might be nice all the way around. Oh, much better. Let's give it a flexible width, say 75% of the page. When we reload, notice it gets a little bit bigger, but as I resize the browser window, see how the text reflows. Now let's look at our block level elements with the Web Developers toolbar. You can see how each block level element is stretching as far as it can across the page until it reaches the width of its container. Now I'm going to add a bunch more styles to this div tag. I'm not sure I like this Times Roman, so let's add some fonts. Verdana, Arial, Helvetica. You always want to end with a generic either sans serif or serif, in my case. Let's save them. Notice they're separated by commas. Also, each of the major property blocks is separated by a semicolon. I'll switch the fonts around, and you can see the browser is going to display the first font it finds. In this case, it had Verdana. I put that first and it worked. Let's try Helvetica now. Ooh, a little tight for me. I know there's another font that I like. It uses 2 words, though, in the font name. That's Trebuchet MS for Microsoft. You want to put single quotes around the name when it has more than 1 word. Oh, a much better font. Now the line height is just like leading. Let's see how it looks at 180%. Save, reload the page. Maybe a little too much. Still airy but easy to read. Now I'm going to put all these properties down on separate lines just to make it easier to read. Borders will need 3 things in order for them to be viewed: the style of the border, the width of the border, and the color of the border. So I'm choosing 10 pixels and this darker purple color from our swatches. Semicolon, just in case we need to put another property in. Reload. Ah, nice border. Let's try some alternate border types. The inset border. A little too dark. The outset border. Not quite my cup of tea. Let's try the double. Okay, that'll work. There's a few more styles available. I'm going to style this particular heading. And I think I'll give it a different font family. In this case, a serif font. As with before, I'll put in several font names just in case my user's computer doesn't have that font installed, with a generic font as a backup for everything. Okay, Georgia looks pretty good. And I'm going to change colors on it. Well, that's what happens when you use a background color and the same foreground color. Let's use that little bit darker color. There. Let's see how that looks when I apply it to the other headings as well. Now, my text or my font or my color for my text could be a little overbearing in straight black. A lighter gray, not enough contrast. As I get closer to black, it shows up a little bit better, but absolute black might be too much. So slightly not black looks pretty good in there. All right, I'll transfer these styles to my other headings so they'll match. Remember to use good typography. Okay. The span tag allows me to apply styles to inline elements, and I'm going to change my title and specifically just the word color in this title. Notice I didn't close that span tag. Let's close it here, right after the C. Now I'm going to copy, paste, and duplicate everything and finally close the last span tag. Notice all the colors are red now, and I'll change them to the colors of the rainbow, or something like that. The R is a similar tone in that orange. Let's change it to teal. Too close to green. How about lime? That stands out just fine. Now I've put in a background image, and notice the image wants to be, or the path to the image lives inside of the parentheses. You can get that by looking at the image itself and following its path, copying the small amount you need, and paste it in. I'm going to add one more attribute to the image, and that is I want it to tile, since the image tiles both directions, I want it to repeat or tile only in the vertical plane, which is the Y dimension. So I need to tell it to repeat Y. Why? Because we like it. Alright, so remember to link to and from your index.html page, upload all your files to the web server, retest your links and page validation, turn in your exercise feedback form, and you're done.